I get those goosebumps every time.
I just have to get the big fella off the bench.
Could this be their last chance now? In it comes, Monster to the front post! He scored! Barney Monster scored!
I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too numb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need that line to throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? I'm flying. Sipping low-key and high, yeah. It's my rider. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. You come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC Loaded Reaction, and the reaction for the Wolves and Newcastle United game today. Spoiler alert: 2-2 draw. So yes, could have been something different, but it's not. Pete, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm just messaging back Lawless because he apparently is demanding some form of apology from me on Monday, and I've just replied back, "You ain't getting shit from me." It's simple as that. But yeah, I'm okay. I'm calm, should we say?
Calm. Is he getting fitted for Crystal Palace kits? Dan Lawless. No, this forfeit that I saw.
Kit that side. He'll probably have a Palace kit that side. He'll probably have a Man City one right behind him, and then he'll probably be wearing a West Ham one. So who knows these days?
Chris, how are you?
Very good, mate. Yeah, little bit deflated from the game, shall we say? Because I do think there was an opportunity there, but you know, I'm sure we'll get into it. But yeah, I think again, it's like, you know, one of those games that we're going to look back on, I think, and go, you know what, it's a good point, particularly because we had such a difficult game midweek. So yeah. But I'm good, mate. I'm all good. Thank you. How are you, Daz?
I'm grand. Yeah, no, I'm with you there on that one. It might take a while, but yeah, maybe then we look good. But yeah, it's also 2 points dropped, I think, as well. But yeah, we were fairly depleted. But let's get into that. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, smash that like button as well. And if you hit the subscribe button, that will enable the chat, and you will be able to chat away then as well and interact with all the loaded ultras and everybody else in the chat. Right. Let's get into it. Let's look at the team news. This was the Newcastle team. So Tonali obviously out. The ban kicked in yesterday. 10-month ban. Let's forget about him now and let him sort himself out. And we'll see him again in 10 months at the start of next season. Willock on the bench, which is good to see again. And then everyone else on the bench were included 2 keepers and all the fullbacks we have in the club, including, but good to see Kraft back as well. But Chris, let's go to you first and what you make of the Newcastle team.
Yeah, well, I can touch very, very briefly on this because it's exactly what we predicted on Loaders. That was the lineup we predicted on the away day show. So yeah, absolutely spot on. In terms of the bench, yeah, I was surprised at how many fullbacks we had on the bench. Really, that's all I can say about it, to be honest. I'm going to touch on the subs later because I do have a little bit of a question for you boys, I suppose, and I've got my own opinion on it in terms of the subs. But yeah, in terms of the lineup itself, I had no issues with that at all. I was actually quite pleased when I saw it.
I wonder if it's the same question that someone on Twitter is asking Pete to talk about as well. But we'll get into that later. Pete, your thoughts on the Newcastle team?
Yeah, I can't disagree with Chris. It's exactly the same. We predicted it on away days, and yeah, it came to fruition. So I think the only surprise for me is that Kraft was in the squad. Kraft was back fit in the squad. What surprised me even more so is that we had 2 goalkeepers on the bench, but I don't know if you guys saw on the pictures of the players coming in, Manquillo was part of the squad. So why is Manquillo not in the matchday squad? And we've got 2 goalkeepers. Manquillo travelled.
It's probably because we had 20. It's probably because we had 27 other fullbacks, and he thought, you know what, I'll leave him out.
Yeah, probably more of a
It's
talking
weird to
point
have
having-
another one. Yeah.
Having 7 out of however many, 7 out of 9 players fullbacks. But yeah, that was the only thing that stood out for me. But yeah, all the important stuff, should we say, was spot on.
My other thing is, like, you have Gillespie, Ritchie, and Dunmore there. Who was looking after the club shop today? There's no one to be known there. They probably had to shut it down. But this was the Wolves squad, and that lined up as well. If you want to see that, no one wants to see that. Right, I'll talk you through it. Stop at the good bits and the bad bits along the way. It kicked off. The pace of Neto was obvious in the first couple of seconds as he took on Byrne. But Byrne did cover when Char went to mark him on that particular run. A couple of early chances. Gordon had a header, long stuff at his shot on the 7 minutes. A few twists and turns as well. Your boy Nori, Chris, nice little run at the early stages, and Lamella as well at a nice run. 80 minutes, bad pass from Trips. Wolves could have punished that, but didn't. But Wilson wasn't having the best of games at that point. Someone in our chat pointed that out. No names. But at 20, at 21 minutes, Wilson got a goal. Here he is with the goal. And how that happened was Gordon ball in, the keeper and the defenders sandwiched Longstaff, and Wilson put it in the net at the second attempt. 1-0 Newcastle. Cue the Wilson celebration. But then, sorry, I'll stop there. What do you think of that first goal, Pete?
Oh, I had no idea you were going to there, but yeah, look, we'll address the elephant in the room. I was one that was not quite impressed with Callum Wilson's performance up until the goal, and I stand by it. I don't think he was playing well. Wasn't holding up the ball. Wasn't making the right runs. There were other factors in that we'll get into later on in the show, but he really wasn't playing well. But he's a goal scorer. He is a goal scorer. And I think that finish is underrated. Everything about that goal, I think, was fantastic. A really, really good goal. Never a foul on the goalkeeper. If anything, the defenders smashed into him, or he smashed into the defender. The ball's run loose. Good block from whoever it was on the line, whether it's Smeda or somebody else. Might have been Totti. But the way in which the ball comes back up, first of all, he controls it by flicking it with his head, gets it to stand still to the point where it's in the air, and then the overhead kick into the far corner, probably the only place in the goal it could have probably actually scored. It is a fantastic finish. And look, for all of the things that Callum Wilson doesn't do, and there's a lot of people, particularly on social media tonight, that are calling Callum Wilson for the things he doesn't do. That's what he does best. And more than anything, that's what you want a striker to do. Is put the ball in the net. And he did that fantastically. Superb finish. And yeah, a great start for Newcastle at that point.
So not so shite after all, Pete. Okay, moving on.
Hey, he was still shy up to that point, and I stand by it. He was. You know how much I love Callum Wilson anyway.
I got you to say it again, and he scored again later on. And I asked you for it to say it again, but you didn't say it. So I'm blaming you, Pete, for you didn't win this match.
That's why I didn't get his offer.
Chris, your thoughts on Callum Wilson's goal?
Yeah, well, I think Pete summed it up really well. I think fantastic improvisation, not an easy finish in the end. But yeah, when you actually saw the slow-mo, the way, as Pete said, you know, he controlled it with his head, got his body positioned right, and then, you know, done like the overhead kick. I thought it was a really smart finish, especially because he had to improvise so quickly. Wolves kind of gifted us the opportunity because there was a little bit of a mix-up at the back. And it was weird, actually, because as soon as it went in and I heard the commentator say, "Oh, Jose Sarr with the mistake," and I thought, I'm sure we mentioned this, didn't we, Pete, with Dave? And he said, like, "Oh, yeah, Jose Sarr, like, he tends to make a mistake against Newcastle," and there you go. He did it again. So, yeah, I thought it was a good improvisation for the goal. And, yeah, Wilson took it well.
Yep. Okay, moving on. Wolves did step it up a bit then. 28 minutes, Cunha, nice little run, Pope save. Newcastle slowed it down, trying to conserve some energy. 35 minutes, good save by Pope from Neto, resulted in a corner to Wolves. But that corner, Lamela scores from the corner, from a header, Trips. Trips is marking him, and he seems to be kind of outmuscled. And at this stage, Dr. Doom was probably licking his lips when he was thinking 1-1 is inside here, and he was probably looking forward to coming on to the next away days. And I told you, but Chris, we go to you for your thoughts on the goal, Wolves' goal.
Disappointing from a defensive point of view, and you know, it's not very often that we criticise our vice captain, whatever you want to call him. But I thought Kieran Trippier was disappointing for that. He lost his man in Mario Lemina, and then he ghosted him. Just I think it was just outside, or just inside the 18-yard box. Got a run on him, and then really, all he had to do was get the header on target. Very disappointing from our point of view. But I suppose it can happen, and the conditions don't help. It was very very wet and windy, and all it takes. We all know, don't we? And I'm sure anyone who's played football, it can be a split second, and if you turn around the wrong way, or you don't track your man, or someone just gets that couple of inches ahead of you, as soon as they've got the body weight in front of you, you're not getting the right side of them, and unfortunately that's what happens. So disappointing. I still felt confidence at that point, though, that we could, get back into the game. But it was disappointing from our perspective, especially because it's Kieran Trippier, who is normally so good when it comes to defending set pieces.
Pete, your thoughts on Wolves' first goal?
Yeah, I think everything that Chris has said is absolutely spot on. The one thing I'll kind of just add to that, I mean, look, it's the first set piece we've conceded all season. Which is a surprise in itself, because we've got the height, we've got the ability to head the ball out, and it comes from probably the one player that's not the greatest at defending set pieces. What I didn't like about it, I think it was poor from Trippier, but what I didn't like about it is the fact that if you watch it back, he's almost trying to shield Lemina to stop him getting to the ball. And he's not actually looking at the board. And if he's looking at the board, he could actually get something on it. And he could actually stop Lemina getting onto it. Because when the ball comes over and it comes across, he's actually trying to hold on to Lemina and he's looking directly at him and not the ball coming across the play. And I just think, if he'd have looked to actually defend the ball and get something on it, he never gets a clean head and it doesn't go in. And I just think, it was just a poor situation. And the question that I ask is, why was he not on the line? Because he normally is with set pieces. Trippier is normally the guy on the post defending set pieces. So why wasn't he today? Why was it different? And I don't know whether it's something tactically or it was just something that was organized very quickly because of the corner. I don't know. But you normally see Kieran Trippier on the post. And if it was somebody else, maybe it would have been defended better. Because Trippier is not the tallest, he's not the greatest in the air, he's not the strongest. So therefore, coming up against a big, strong centre midfielder in Lemina looks like a bit of a mismatch to me. And it seemed it with the way he scored the goal. So that was the disappointing thing for me.
Yeah, I agree, Pete. I'm also laughing at that was the comment that came up about it. Get your man to drop off a radiator. Reference to Russ and the radiatorshade.com. So get on to him. Give him a bell. He'll sort you out. All right, Newcastle do step it up again. 45 minutes. Peno went to VAR check. Yes, Chang got a bit of a kick. He did stop his foot in motion, but he did still touch Shar a bit. But it went to VAR. Did you think it was a penalty, lads? First of all, I think it was a penalty.
Go on, Chris. You were that good, first.
At the start, I thought it was a clear pen. The more I watched it, I then decided it was a fortunate pen. So I'm not saying it wasn't a pen. it was a fortunate pen. And I think I said in the chat, didn't I, lads, that you know, whatever decision the referee gave, he wouldn't overturn it, because if the referee didn't give a pen, we'd have watched it back and maybe gone, you know, like that. And then because he did give a pen, I think that's what they did in the VAR room. I think it wasn't clear cut that it wasn't a pen, but it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like a night and day decision where you go, oh, it's a penalty all day long. It just wasn't. We'll take it, but you know, I think we were a little bit fortunate with it. The thing that got me was, and I don't know if you boys noticed this, when you actually look at the contact with the feet, they kept focusing on the contact with the feet, and for me, it wasn't even the feet; it was the knee, because Hwang swung his leg and then stops his leg dead, so he like sticks his foot in the ground, but it's actually his knee that catches Shah. I don't even think it was necessarily like, you know, the foot or the stamp or your trip. It was more the fact that there was contact, and obviously Shah went down because he felt contact. But it looks soft, is what I'd say. But because I don't think it was a clear and obvious error, which is why I think it wasn't overturned. But it did take them a long time to decide.
Pete, you're in the VAR room. What are you doing?
I want to know your opinion first.
Mine. I think it was a better penalty.
On the goals or anything. Come on.
Yeah, I want to kind of give it a bit of small little touches along the way. But no, I think I agree with Chris. It was soft, but I think it was a penalty. I'm delighted it was a penalty. Obviously.
I'm not as full on as Rich Joblin in the chat. He's just put Stonewall pen. I don't think it's quite Stonewall, but it's a penalty. It is a penalty. I'm not complaining. I'm not moaning. I'm happy. It was a penalty. And as I said to you before when we came on, there's no apologies from me. We've had Stonewall penalties that haven't been given.
No, we have.
Weeks, months, days gone by. So I'm not complaining. Will it come round and affect us? Maybe. But I'm taking that all day long. And Chris, you made a really, really good point. Because a lot of people have argued, and particularly, look, it's always opposition fans, from fans that are not Wolves, that are not Newcastle, that have got lots of opinions on Newcastle United. They love to talk about Newcastle United, and all of a sudden, I wonder why.
You're a 12-man chat by any chance?
No, I'm talking about other Newcastle. Non-Newcastle or Wolves fans. I'll be honest. There's a lot of Man United fans that are talking about Newcastle recently on social media. I wonder why. They talk about Newcastle nowadays. But what I will say is that, Chris, you are absolutely right. There was contact, and if you watch it back and you watch it closely enough, Hwang's knee makes contact with the back of Shaw's leg, and Shaw goes down. And you know what? The first thing he holds is the back of his leg, of the same leg that makes contact. So there was contact, and there was no reason why that penalty should have been overturned for that reason. If you watch it back, it is absolutely clear that it's not the foot, which everyone on Sky was talking about, and everyone on social media talking about. He didn't make contact with his foot. No, he didn't. You're absolutely right. He didn't. But as the foot comes back after he makes that sweep to try and win the ball and then realizes he's not getting there, and Shaw nicks it, he comes in and makes contact, knee to, I would say probably knee to calf more than anything. It's not the heel, it's knee to calf. He goes down, he's holding his calf, penalty. Simple as that. And so therefore, I'm not complaining. In fact, I'm happy that the referee and VAR have actually made the right decision. And fair play to them. So
in summary, Hwang bang, thank you, ma'am. On we go. Up steps Colin Wilson, and the keeper does get a touch, but he buries it, and it's in the back of the net. The Dr. Doomsday scenario has been averted. It cannot no longer be 1-1, so we're a bit happier at that stage. And that brought us to 51 minutes. J7 had a run, shot was saved, and then there was a Wolves claim for a penalty as well, where they thought that it might have brushed Bruno's hand, but It wasn't nowhere
Oh
near.
mate, it was the most ridiculous, and the fact that they even went to the VAR room over it, it was just ridiculous. They showed the replay, and it was like, are we really checking this? Like, really? It was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. That at that point, that was the first time this season, and for a long time, that I felt like either the referee was trying to even out the game because of that penalty decision, or that like they were trying to just stop us from winning. Because when I seen that they'd gone to VAR over that, I was just like, oh my god! Like, you could see in real time, there's no way his arms were in. There's just no way it would have been a penalty. And then when it shows it, it was like, did he even brush his hands? Did he even touch his hands?
No.
Terrible.
So that got us to halftime. But Anthony, you want to say about the first half, or will I move on to the second half?
From my point of view, we started really slow. We didn't get going. Wolves started better than us. But once we started popping the ball around, we were by far the better team. And actually, we scored to go 1-0 up. I actually genuinely think before they equalised, we probably should have been 2-0 up. The great feat from Bruno Guimaraes on the sort of left-hand side. He has those little... he travels with the ball really well. He has that little quick feet moment, right to left, inside. The ball manages to find itself to Longstaff. I actually think Longstaff probably should have done better with a shot on goal. But actually, from that point of view, that could have been, it probably should have been 2-0. There was a couple of moments with Joe Linton as well, which I think probably should have done better. There was a great little run from left to right when he kind of counter-attacks, cuts inside. He's on the edge of the box. The shot was tame. No block, no touch. He should have put more power on it behind it. Like, he's got the ability. We should have been winning that game more comfortably than we were, and that's before their equaliser. That's before we went then 2-1 up. So, I was pleased, although the slow start. I was pleased by the end of it because I thought we were playing actually well at that point. So yeah, I was kind of happy with where we're at.
Okay, we move on into the second half. Wolves early free kick, cheap foul by Byrne. Wasn't really a foul though, and went straight into the wall. Miggy showing passion and aggression to win the ball back. Wolves applying the pressure. Newcastle slowly. Yeah, there's a slowing the game down, and because the tiredness seems to be creeping in for Newcastle at that stage. Byrne pick up a yellow card. Lascelles pick up a yellow. It's kind of getting nervous now at this stage, around the 66-minute mark for Newcastle. On the 70-minute, though, Juan got his goal. Pope came out, punched the ball. And we'll have a debate on this, but I really don't know why he didn't catch that. He should, but he punched the ball out. Then Wolves attacked it. The defense should have got a foot in then as well, but it was a decent goal for Wolves. Bad defending by us. But what did you make of the equaliser for Wolves? Pete, we'll go to you first.
I think there's a lot of factors to this goal. First and foremost, I think it's a fantastic goal from Wolves' perspective. I think Juan, brilliant feet, lovely finish. Probably the only part of the goal he could have scored in. Lovely finish, and it just shows how well he's playing at the moment. I think that's 6 or 7 goals this season. The 6 goals, in fact, the joint highest of Wolves in the last number of years in terms of the goals they've scored already in October. And he played really, really well. Fair play to him. But we made so many mistakes in the build-up to that goal. Lots of talk about Nick Pope. Should have caught it. A lot of people on social media questioning Nick Pope's catching ability. Now, I made about 4 catches that he made previous to that in the game. There's nothing wrong with his catching ability. His catching ability is one of his strengths as a goalkeeper. But at that moment, there was no one challenging him. The ball was higher than anybody else could jump in the air. He should have just caught it. And I think if you'd asked him now, he'd admit, don't know why I didn't catch it. Should have caught it. Fine. It's a slight mistake. But it's not the reason why we conceded the goal. And there's other moments in that. Now, I'll kind of break it down. So I think Hwang gets the ball on the edge of the area. I believe. I could be wrong. Player has it on the edge of the area. You've got Gordon one side, you've got Bruno the other. Neither of them do enough to win the ball. They're both, I'm not going to say the word lazy, but they were both not committed enough, should I say, in putting a tackle in. Bruno, because he's got that yellow card thing hanging on him, hanging on his head. Gordon, I think, should have done more to win the ball. He was close enough to the ball to nick it, and he doesn't try hard enough. Then the ball comes into the box. It's absolutely criminal, and it happened time and time again in this game today. In a moment, probably a period in 15 minutes up until that goal was scored. And it might be down to tiredness, I don't know. But players were not staying on their feet. And if Burns stays on his feet, Hwang doesn't get the shot on goal. Because Burn is tall enough, he's big enough, his legs are long enough to block the initial shot that if he stays on his feet, Hwang probably would have had. But even if he goes to cut in and Burns on his feet, Burn gets there for the rebound and he doesn't score. And why he goes to ground, probably tiredness. But the fact that he goes to ground opens up the space. And to be fair, Shaw nearly gets there. And he's so unlucky. He has no right to get there. And he nearly does. But that opens up the space. So there were 3 moments for me to that as to why they scored. It's not just all on Pope. Yes, Pope should have caught it. But Gordon should have done more. Bruno should have done more. But certainly Burn should have stood up and kept on his feet. And if he does that, we don't concede. It's as simple as that for me.
Chris, your thoughts on that Wolves equaliser?
Yeah, I mean, I think Pete sums it up really well. The only thing I'd probably touch on is, and you probably know I'm going to say this because I already said it, like for me, like the ball come looping in. And for me, as a, you know, if I'm a manager, if I'm a fan, if I'm even a colleague or whatever, if my keeper goes up and he's even 1% sure he's not confident he's going to catch it, the next best thing is to punch it as far away from the goal as you can. And Nick Pope gets a good connection on that ball and punches it out. Now, if Nick Pope would have, you know, because I was having an argument with one of my blue friends, and he was like, "Oh, Nick Pope made another mistake, another howler," and I was like, "Right." I said, "Look, watch the goal back, and look where Nick Pope punches the ball. If Nick Pope punched it in, you know, onto the penalty spot. If he punched it back into the box, if he punched it near the goal, fair enough. But Nick Pope punches it adequately enough away, and then gets back on his line. So then, as far as I'm concerned, yes, he should have caught it. I agree, but if he's even got that element of doubt, I'd rather him not try and catch it and then fumble it or drop it, or, you know, I'd rather him just go, yeah, clear your lines. And that's exactly what he's done. And he's got a good enough punch on it for me. It's what happens after that, which Pete's, you know, really described very well. It's disappointing. I thought Hwang did excellent for it, like the way that he turns Burn. He looks like he's going to go one way and then he just stands still, leaves the gap, and then just buries it. So, you know, credit to Hwang. I thought he did really well with that. But yeah, people like saying, "Oh, we conceded that goal because of Pope." I don't agree with that at all. I know a few people in the chat have said, like, you know, we need to improve on Pope and Pope's dodgy, and, you know, we need to bring in a new number one. And I think most of you know my thoughts anyway. I think the goalkeeper position is one that we will need to strengthen in time. But, you know, I think with Nick Pope, we've just got to get behind him, and I think give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt with this one. Because for me, I think when they run the tapes back, you know, someone will probably say to him, "Oh, why didn't you catch it?" And he might have gone, "Oh, you know, I didn't fancy the angle, or there was a little bit of wind, or I didn't think I was going to be able to get it." So the answer is punch it as far as you can, and he did. So for me, I think he did everything that he could have done other than catch it. And then it's what happens after that which causes the problem. But either way, it makes it 2-2, and it's disappointing. But yeah, we move on.
Off topic, Chris. Are you at home, Liverpool tonight? Or
Yes.
Oh, no, I just thought you could have been away. You're going around this dressing room. I thought you might be in the Playboy Mansion or something. It's only you and Hugh Hefner that wear these dressing gowns
Mate,
live
I needed my cigar. I know. Do you know what? I'm all tucked up and ready for to get back on the couch and watch the Tyson Fury fight. So I'm just I'm having a bit of a cozy night tonight. You know.
What time's the ring walk?
10 o'clock, I believe.
Yeah. I'm gonna be on that. What I will say, I'm gonna throw this out there. Might be controversial. People might not agree. I think this time next year, Pope will still be number one.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I don't think they'll look to change goalkeeper next summer.
We've got a lot else to bring in.
Exactly.
As well.
Exactly. I think they're going to spend their money elsewhere. Looking at 2025, possibly a different conversation. Pope's 31 right now? For a goalkeeper, that's still quite young.
Yeah, it is.
And I think Newcastle will think that they've got another year left in Pope, as in another season after this. They can get another season out of him, 32 into 33. Then I think they'll look to replace in 2025.
Here's a question.
That's just me looking at things maybe in the last couple of weeks, because I think, Chris, you were quite vocal on it in the summer, that in the back end of the summer, that you thought actually we'd replace a goalkeeper. Now I actually agree with you at that point. I thought next summer, I think that they'll look to change, but I think because of the areas that we need to strengthen, and I think if the areas that we're going to strengthen in the summer, in my opinion, are probably going to cost a little bit more money. So I think they're going to think, right, do we invest more in the players that we want to come in, or are we going to kind of spend a little bit less on some of those players so we can kind of have enough money to spend on a goalkeeper? Because look, if we're going to get a goalkeeper, we're not going to be spending 10 million on another Nick Pope. We're going to go out there and probably get one of the best around, one of the best young goalkeepers that's around. And we're going to spend a pretty penny on him. And so therefore, you've got to sacrifice a chunk of your budget to be able to pay to get another quality goalkeeper in my opinion. And I just think they'll look to replace in other areas and strengthen in other areas before they maybe look at a goalkeeper. But like I said, I might be proved wrong, but that's just what I'm thinking right now.
Question for you, Pete, and Daz, I'd love to hear your opinion as well. Do you think, and maybe you could say this about all the players, but I think certain players this won't, apply to. But do you think Pope's kind of in an audition? And what I mean by that is, if Pope, continues to make errors, and I'm not going to talk about one tonight because I don't necessarily think it was an error, but if Pope continues to raise concerns, or that has a few more shaky moments and blah blah blah, do you think the priority of replacing him pushes the need further up, or do you think that the owners are literally, or maybe Eddie Howe's just like, no, like you said, I think this time next year he'll still be number one? Do you think that's already set in stone, or do you think that there is potential for that to change?
I think there's a potential for it to change, but I don't think it will. He doesn't have that many errors, Pope, to say the truth. And a lot of the time we're giving him very, very high marks, especially if it's a tight game. We're kind of giving him man of the match at some stage. But back onto Pete's point, I agree with what Pete said there. I'm thinking I know where he got this from as well. He's been doing this analysis on Football Manager. He knows the financial constraints that so he's pushed it out himself. So he's gamed it through. But I'd like to see them bring in a young keeper though that can maybe challenge and get into the second keeper slot, but then maybe revert back down into the third keeper slot when we bring in the following year when we bring in getting someone like that would be happy to try and challenge Pope to a degree, because he doesn't, apart from Dubravka, it's only if we're stuck we'll use Dubravka. We're never using Gillespie, and same Karius half the time he's initially anyway.
Yeah, Dom Milburn, great to see you in there. He put a comment on my tweet earlier. He's put just saying Donnarumma is 24. We get him as our goalkeeper for the next 10 years. He's very similar to Pope. He's a world-class shot stopper, but he's not great on the ball, as we saw at St James's Park. He don't like the ball at his feet. And if we're going to sign a goalkeeper, he's going to need to be good with his feet, not just a shot stopper. And Stu's had come back with Kobel at Dortmund, who I thought was fantastic.
He looked really good. He looked really good.
I wasn't really focused on him during the game because I was just watching the game for us. But when I watched the game back, not only did he make some good saves, but he looks so assured in goal. He looks like a really, really top goalkeeper. Now, I don't know too much about him. I don't know what his age is. I don't know how good how good he's been in general in the Bundesliga. Obviously, Dortmund are right up there at the moment, but that possibly would be looking more like a great option. It's the Ramos. straight in there. Let me just deal with the chat 1 second.
Go for it, mate.
25.
Oh, great age.
You know what you need to do.
Great age.
There you go.
Great age.
It's a great age.
Yeah, do you
I love
agree?
that. I love that.
He does. So that could be a conversation for us boys in January, maybe the summer.
Yeah.
Who knows? Stay tuned.
Exactly. Right, we'll move on. We'll finish off this game. 72 minutes, Miggy off, Willock on. Neto then got an injury. He was running just ragged, so he was all over the place. A bit of relief for Newcastle. Bad for him, obviously. Hope he makes a recovery soon. Newcastle then increased their intensity. Shar header just wide after he made a busting run through. So actually, he stood off. He slowly got his way up and then ran a bit faster. And then after the cross came in, he got on the end of the header. Wilson did get in his way a bit for that. Trips got a yellow. Penalty shout for Wolves. Again, it was a bit of play acting on that front. Newcastle continued to press, but yeah, that was it. 2-2 final score. What might have been, but we were under resourced. We had a lot of players on the bench as well that we didn't use. But we'll probably get into that. But overall, lads, what do you think?
There's 2
Chris?
points I wanted to make. And Daz, I can't believe we haven't spoke about it. Rich Joblin mentioned it in the chat, actually. Hang on, where is it? I thought this was going to make your match summary, Daz.
Oh, I know what it is.
Miggy. I loved it when the commentator was like, "Oh, nobody gambled. Nobody, nobody anticipated that Miggy was going to cross it." And it was like, well, yeah, because he never crosses it. That's why. I think when he put the ball in with his right foot, everyone was just like, fucking hell, that's the first time he's ever done that. And it was a decent cross as well, by the way. Decent cross. So, yeah, that was one of my points. And the second point, and this is what I kind of alluded to at the start of the show, was I thought Eddie Howe got his subs wrong tonight. I really did. With what we had on the bench, yes, the attacking options were limited. And I thought it was interesting when he took Miggy off and he brought on Joe Willock and put Willock on the left and Gordon on the right. And I just thought, especially when Dan Burn got that yellow and Pedro Neto was still flying, we were incredibly fortunate there, boys, that Neto pulled up, because even that actual attack he was going on, like he looked like he would have had Burn on toast. So we got lucky there as well. But yeah, maybe Kieran Trippier, you could argue. Yes, you still need the experience. He wasn't having the greatest of games. Probably one of the poorest games from Trippier I've seen, if I'm honest. Not saying he played bad, but not his usual high standard. But I think that game, I think it would have been screaming out for a Livramento or even Target. Target played really well midweek against Dortmund. Why not bring him on for Dan Burn and just alleviate that pressure a little bit? So Eddie's probably got his reasons, but for me, I think I would have liked to have seen a couple more subs made earlier, and especially if we're trying to protect the squad. But you boys may disagree with that, but I don't know. I felt like Eddie could have done better with his subs today. But again, I'm not behind the scenes. I don't know what the restrictions are, or if players aren't fully fit or whatnot. But I would have liked to have seen a few more subs personally. But all in all, to answer your question, Daz, I think it's a decent point away from home. We always say it. A point away from home is never a bad thing. This is the same Wolves side that beat Man City, so they're no slouches. So I think it's a good point, given that we had such a difficult game against Dortmund midweek, and we've come out of it unscathed, which was the most important thing. And Bruno didn't pick up a yellow, so
yeah. Just we'll come back in you there, Chris. I agree with you in our own chat that with Burn on the yellow card in the 66th minute, that it would have, and Target playing well midweek, that he would have given him a run out and he'd have more pace as well, a bit more pace. And I was surprised that we didn't see Livramento introduced when Trippier wasn't having his best game ever. But Pete, your thoughts on that are on Chris's points, or anything else you want to say yourself?
Yeah,
he's winding up here.
What's that?
As you're getting ready, you're ready. You have a list of things you want to say.
I think Chris has made some great points. I think you've made some great points as well, Daz. I think for me, my overriding feeling is that I'll take the point. Difficult conditions. I wanted to see a reaction from the players after Dortmund. We didn't see the win reaction that we wanted, but I saw a reaction from the players. I thought the players actually, at times, really dug in and played well. It wasn't the fluid football that we like to see normally, but they were dogged and they battled and they get everything on the pitch. And that's all we can ask. We only need to look back 2-3 years ago to our performance at Molineux, where that wasn't happening. I don't want to keep harping back to 2 or 3 years ago, but that's where we've changed. That's where we're different. So I'll take the point. I said that I dropped a message to little Dan. I said, you've got a really good team there, and O'Neill will steer you in the right direction. And Wolves are a good side. They've got some fantastic players. I would love Pedro Neto in our Newcastle team. I would. I'm that guy as well. You boys know, Chris, I messaged you as well. And you watch his goal on Thursday.
I saw that goal.
Neto and Boniface in this Newcastle team.
Pete, can I jump in 1 sec? Just
it.
on that Boniface guy, and the only thing I know about him is that goal. And I just did the Google on him. And then Nigerian international. He'll be going to African Cup of Nations for a month, though. Won't he in January?
Will, but I'm not worried about that now because I don't think we get him in January. I think we get him in the summer. I'm the reason why I'm bigging him up is because I think he'd be a perfect summer signing. I don't think we'll sign him in the summer personally. I don't think Leverkusen want to let him go because Leverkusen are right up there fighting. They're not going to let their top striker go this early, just after 6 months. But he is, for me, we're all talking about Osimhen, and I know we're kind of going off track here. And Osimhen will cost you 120 million. Boniface, they paid 20 million for in the summer, and you probably get him for about 45 million. Like, now you're saving a hell of a lot of money getting someone that can score probably the similar type of goals that Osimhen can, who's still incredibly young, and he's very similar in terms of he peels off to the left like Isaac and plays a very similar role, but he's big, he's strong. Said to you boys, it reminds me of Demba Ba so much, and we know how good Demba Ba was when he played for Newcastle. I just would love someone like that to come in as a third option. I'm not saying he'd be third choice because he wouldn't be, but a third option to Isaac and Wilson up top. But that's a sidewinder. I take the point all day long because of those other things that I talked about. Chris, you made a really good point about Eddie Howe, and I thought the same. So I messaged you boys in the chat, and I said Willock and Livramento will be really crucial in this game. They've got legs, they've got pace. They'll be able to track back and deal with the difficulty that Wolves will provide in the second half. And at the time, I was surprised when it got to 80 minutes and Livramento hadn't come on. And then I thought about it and thought, they're saving them. They're saving them for Wednesday. And I genuinely think there'll be a lot of changes made to the team on Wednesday. Now you look at the bench. You think how many changes can they make because we've got 7 left backs or fullbacks, should we say? But I think I personally don't think we'll see Trippier play or start in that team against Man United. I think Livramento will come in. I think there'll be other changes. I think Willett might get his first start. I think they might rest 1 or 2. I think they might play Willett, Joe Linton, and rest Bruno. For Arsenal, I think they might look to make 1 or 2 changes that if they do play Bruno, and that's if, then they'll drop Gordon to the bench and play either Joe Linton or Willock on the left. So I think they're going to look and change a few things. They might even play Target and bring him in and give him a game. So I think that's why Eddie Howe didn't make the subs that he did. And if you listen to his interview after the game, he almost kind of alludes to it. The players that they had on the bench, if he'd have brought them on, he would have had to have brought them on in positions that they're not comfortable with. So, like, he had no intention of taking Trippier off because of how set the game was. and he didn't feel comfortable playing Livramento as a right winger. So we didn't want them to come on in their unnatural position because the game was really tight at 2-2. And I understand that. I get why he's made that decision. But I just think that he had one eye on Wednesday. And the reason why I think he's got one eye on Wednesday is because I think he wants to win on Wednesday. I think he wants to go for it. And actually, even with changes being made, even with the likes of Livramento coming in, Willett coming in, maybe even Target, I still think we can win against Man United. And you know what? I want to win against Man United. There's a lot of fans on social media tonight saying, chuck the game, chuck the Carabao Cup. Don't play your strong team. Play a weakened side. Not for me. I want to win that game. I want to win at Old Trafford. I want to knock Man United out, because I tell you why. And the reason why I say that is because between now and mid-January, if we win at Old Trafford, we don't have to play one extra game because we're in the quarterfinals. If we win, we have that one game in December between now and mid-January. That's not a lot. And by then, by December, and it's normally sort of just before the kind of Christmas period kicks in that you play the quarterfinals. We know from last year when we, I think it was slightly further back, but we played Crystal Palace just after the World Cup. But what we would find is if we don't have one game to play, and that's, like I say, that's not a lot. We'll have the likes of Isak back, we'll have the likes of Botman back. You know, we'll have those players to choose from that will be able to make certain changes around the team and the squad. I want to win. I want to win at Old Trafford. And I get why he's doing it, because Eddie Howe has made out, and he said from the beginning, he wants to be competitive in every competition. And this is why he sacrificed the subs today, because he wants to be strong next week. And I back him 110%.
And let's be clear as well, just to add on to that, Pete, and great point at the end there as well. A trophy buys Eddie Howe 12 to 18 months minimum, in my opinion. If he wins a trophy at Newcastle, it buys him 12 to 18 months. So if he gets a Carabao Cup and FA Cup, that's going to buy him time. He wants to break that door. You know, we haven't won a trophy for so long. He'll want to write himself in the history books, and he knows his best chance of doing that is by winning a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. That's his best chance. So I agree. I think he's going to take those cup competitions very seriously, especially given we've just knocked out Manchester City, and we're coming up against a Man United side who are all over the place at the minute. That would be another scalp. And then he, you know, what would he need to say in his, in his dressing room team talk prior to a match? You've beaten Man City, you've beaten Man United, you're now in the quarters. This trophy's got your name written on it. Team talk done.
Yeah, but you said 12 to 18 months by him. He's not on the. He doesn't have the dreaded vote of confidence hanging over him already. So he's on good footing at the moment as it is. But yeah, I think he's. I think if we're going with that, though, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of say I don't know, say we lost the next 10 games in a row. Sorry, say we won the trophy, then we lost 10 games in a row. I still think they'd go, yeah, but he won us a trophy. And a lot of fans would adore him regardless of what's going on, and they would be solely for Eddie Howe. If we didn't win a trophy and things started turning sour, not having a trophy in the cabinet could put a little bit more pressure on him for next season. I mean,
it'd be external forces. It wouldn't be in Newcastle. I think we even had that in the summer. Was Graham Bailey who mentioned it? Like things don't go well. No, he's starting to. Yeah.
If he gets the trophy, Chris, the statue will stop being prepared, mate.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. And I go back to the point that we all talked about when we beat Man City. I think we talked about it in the chat, but we certainly talked about it in the watch along. Like you knock out the kind of like the expected winners in Man City, and then you go and win. You go and knock out the last year's winners
at Old Trafford.
Yeah, at Old Trafford. Like you got to be confident of going the distance. You have to be, and you never know what the draw is going to be. The draw might pick out in the quarterfinals a favourable draw. And then you might be rubbing your hands together because it might be at St. James's Park against a lesser team, and you're thinking, you know what? I'm glad Eddie Howe played the team that he played. I'm glad he did what he did, because it's now putting us in prime position for mid-January going into a semi-final two-legger. And then you've not just got players coming back from injury, you've got a January window where you can strengthen. And if you're bringing players from outside of England, they're going to be able to play as well. And it just makes things look different. And I want to be competitive in every competition. I want us to go for it. It's going to be taxing on the players. It's going to be a tough slog this season, guys and girls in the chat. This is not going to be easy. You're going to get players that are going to be on their last legs. But isn't this what we wanted? We wanted us playing, being competitive in all 4 competitions. We wanted this team to be playing at the highest level, Champions League football. This is what we want. We're going to have to get used to it. And the players, more than anything, it's interesting, Eddie Howe said in his presser, the players have got to get used to playing this amount of football every year. And you know what? If they're not going to get used to it, they'll get shipped out. Eddie Howe won't stand for it. You're either able to play it. Man City do it. Liverpool do it. You know what I mean? The top teams, Arsenal, are just finding their way in it, and they're struggling with it as well. Yeah. They're not finding it easy. But if you want to play at the top table with the best teams, you have to be able to play Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Sunday, whatever it is. You have to be able to do it week in, week out. We've got Bruno Guimaraes on a £100 million release clause, apparently. If he goes to Real Madrid, he's going to be doing that. If he goes to one of those Barcelona, he's going to be doing that. He needs to get used to that. Everybody does. So it is what it is. We roll on.
Right, lads. I'm going to sack off the ratings because it'll kill an hour. I just want to go straight to your man of the match. For me, my man of the match was Shar. I thought he was class. He got in the tackles when he needed to. He brought the ball forward where he needed to. Only for Wilson maybe getting in the way, he could have got us a goal as well. I just thought he was his passing again was unbelievable. So Shar for me gets my man of the match. Chris.
Yeah, I was torn between Shah and Wilson. Now I acknowledge Wilson didn't have his best game. He looked slightly off it today. Not just even that first half, even second half. And you know, we've spoken about this, haven't we, lads? Saying that, you know, maybe it's because Alexander Isak's really gone up. You know, he's really gone up a few levels. You know, he's fully fit. Well, not right now, but he was fully fit, and he was putting in absolutely fantastic performances, and he's kind of your modern day striker. So now we maybe look at Wilson, and he's just not the same. He's not the same as Alexander Isak. So, do you know what? I'll stick with Callum Wilson because I thought it was great improvisation for that goal. You know, put us 1-0 up. Really not an easy finish, and he didn't give up. And then he obviously slotted the penalty away just about. So because Callum Wilson got 2 goals, I will give it to Callum Wilson. Even though he would probably be my man of the match with an 8, which is quite unusual. So yeah, I give my man of the match with an 8 out of 10 for me, just for interest.
I agree with Daz. Shaw was outstanding tonight. He really was. He was our best player for me on the pitch. He was colossal at times. The amount of tackles he won, winning headers, bringing the ball forward, win the penalty. Like, it was a captain's level performance for me. I thought it was superb. I really did. And I really like what I've seen from Shaw, because I almost thought that Shaw needed Botman to elevate his game. He didn't. And I've got to give a shout out to Lascelles, because I thought Lascelles was great as well. I thought Lascelles was really good, and I thought neither of them deserved to, 1, concede 2 goals, and 2, be on a team that didn't win. And I thought they were both excellent today, and fair play to both of them. But Shaw, man of the match for me. I completely understand what you're saying, because for me, it probably would have been between 3. It would have been between Shaw, Wilson, who, you know, my my thoughts on his performance in general.
Yeah,
wasn't
have it on my phone. Yeah.
yeah. But when you score 2 goals the way you do, you got to give respect to that. And Bruno Guimaraes, I thought was superb today.
Bruno played well.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did.
brilliant.
Bruno was my second choice for man of the match.
Yeah, so you could have given it any of those 3, but Shaw for me. Shaw was sensational tonight. And I don't say that lightly, but I just thought his performance epitomised everything we want in this Newcastle team. Fair play to him.
Even the dog agrees.
Yeah.
Whoever's dog that is.
Yeah, it's outside.
The dog agreed with me. It was like,
yeah, he was. Loved it. Loved it.
We knocked off a bit of time there with the rating. So look, maybe we'll bring up the table and we can look at the table if you want.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Have it here somewhere. Perfect. Actually, yeah, as I do, who's our top goal scorer now? Is it still Isak or has Wilson? He's brought it close, hasn't he?
Wilson's our Premier League top goal scorer, but they've both got 7. So in all competitions, Isak's got 7, but Wilson's got 7 in the Premier League. So yeah, they're both on 7 goals, which is fantastic, really. To end of October, both our strikers are on 7 goals.
Yeah,
that's
good going.
Like that's just brilliant. And let's face it, like if they both stay fit and both play regular, we could be looking at April, March, both of them on 15 plus goals potentially. That's basically what we could be looking at, which having 2 strikers on that amount of goals just tells you everything you need to know about how attacking and how good our team is. But yeah, fair play to Wilson. 7 goals. Everyone's talking about Watkins at the moment, and Watkins having a great season. Fair play to him. But Wilson, I think is he second behind Haaland? Is it Haaland on 9 or 10, something like that?
Yeah.
Third. There might be someone on 8. I can't remember. But
the details from yesterday. Sorry, from 11 hours ago. It says Haaland is on 9. Doesn't say who's second. The third is Salah on 7. Isak on 6. Jared Bowen on 6. Callum Wilson on 7. And Mwimbo on 5. Oh,
Son is on 8. Son is on 8 after Friday.
Yeah.
Salah and Wilson are on 7. Isak, Bowen, and Mbeumo.
Yeah, he's
a fantastic player. Played well today. They beat Chelsea. He was sensational today. Another really good player. And Hwang on 6. So Isak, Bowen, and Mbeumo. Hwang on 6. Wilson, Salah on 7. Son on 8. Haaland on 9. Not bad. Not bad for an early part of the season.
Not bad at all. Let's look at the table. So Spurs still leading the way there in 26 points. Arsenal on 2nd. City on 3rd. Liverpool, Villa, and us in here on 6th. Okay, and with games to be played, with Brighton playing Fulham, you'd probably expect them to win that. So they would leapfrog us. With Man United playing Man City, you don't expect them to win that. Who knows? But West Ham are playing Everton, I think. So we could be level on points with West Ham if they get a result against Everton.
Considering we had an absolute meltdown at the start of the season, allegedly does, and we were, we were going to struggle to, manage all competitions and stuff. We've now managed to get through to a reasonable position in the Carabao Cup. We've got a fighting chance in the Champions League, and we're still very much amongst it there. I mean, even if you look at it, we're 4 points behind the champions from last year. If you'd have offered me that after 10 games, I'd have took that all day.
Yeah.
They'll probably have 3 more tomorrow, but
yeah.
I hope so. Keeps Man United down there.
Exactly. To finish ahead of them.
But yeah, I think this is a better start for us than it was last season. So I'll take that. We've had probably similar amount of similar type of games against teams that are up there at this stage. Hasn't been as plain sailing around sort of October, November, where we were really hitting our stride last season. But we're still in there. We're 6th in the league. Yes, the likes of Villa, I think they've got Luton tomorrow. We're all going to extend there. Villa, Liverpool, they're going to extend their points total. So it will look like there's a bit of a gap. But as I tweeted out just before we came on the show, I put out, I said, a reminder. We looked at these run of fixtures between now and the next international break. They're not easy. They're not easy. So we've come back and we've got obviously points on the board already at Palace. We then had Dortmund. We've had Wolves away, who are doing well at the moment. Then we're going to Man United. Then we've got Arsenal. Then we're going to Dortmund. Then we've got Bournemouth away. It's always a tricky place for us to travel. They're not easy games.
No.
But as I've maintained all the way through, if we can navigate ourselves through to around Christmas time and we're in the top 8, I genuinely think the second half of the season we're going to go for it, because there are runs of games in the second half of the season where we can really start to pick up some points. I genuinely believe that. So we're still in the fight. We're still in there. We're still knocking at the door. And that's exactly what we need. There are going to be times in the season where we're not going to be great. We're not going to be getting 3 points week in, week out. But as long as we don't lose, 6 unbeaten in the league, and we keep building, take that all day long.
Okay, maybe we'll go to some questions or comments from the chat. Have we got anything there? Discussion points.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, a big shout out to Ian Barron. It's his wife's birthday, and her name is Lisa Barron. And it's his 12th wedding anniversary tomorrow. So congratulations, Ian. Many congratulations, mate.
Congratulations, Ian. Happy birthday, Lisa. And happy anniversary.
Yeah. Stu Amos, I know we briefly spoke about, I think we spoke about this in the chat, boys. Could be wrong. But yeah, anyone see the article today about Neves saying he'd love to play at St. James's Park? I haven't seen the article.
I tweeted it out earlier.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I put a tweet out earlier on the back of the article. It was
Peter O'Rourke?
No.
Why did I see
I'll fling back to it and I'll show you in 1 second. I was active today, as you might well see later on. I had a bit of a free day, so I was quite a little bit active.
You didn't try and that move on Football Manager, did you, Pete? To try and loan him in?
You don't have the money. You stop with 5 million if you're Newcastle.
Yeah.
Sell a few on. I'm waiting to get through the season because I'm second in the league currently, as I told you just before we went live. My feed was a little bit glitchy, and I was thinking, why is it a little bit glitchy? And then I realised I had Football Manager on in the background, and I was in the process of smashing West Ham 2-0. Hi, Lawless. That put me second. That put me second in the league. So yeah, that's where I was at. But hold on, I'm taking far too long with this, and it's annoying me. So I imagine it's annoying other people. But yeah, Sport Witness. It says Ruben Neves, Portuguese press believe the player dreams of a January move to Newcastle, and the Magpies' interest would be welcomed and is keen to return to the Premier League. And he's not the only one to mention that. There was other kind of journalists and other people saying the same or very similar, but that's where I saw that, and I kind of tweeted out on the back of that, and I just said, let's get it done. Quality replacement for Sandro, and the fume would be unreal from opposition fans.
Oh yeah,
that'd be the best bit.
There was a few questions on the back of that, and a few people came back to it and were saying that why would he want to come back to England and whatever. But when you've been out in Saudi, he's always going to go to Saudi because the money was so great. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you're going to miss that competitive edge. He's 25 years old. He's still young. And when you've been in the Premier League and playing in the elite football level, and then all of a sudden you go out to Saudi, which in all due respect isn't that, if you get an opportunity to come back, you're going to take that, especially with all due respect. You're coming back to a team that's one, playing Champions League football, potentially, or European football, fingers crossed, and two, a team that's looking to be at that level and sustain that level, which Newcastle are in all due respect to Wolves. why would you not want to be part of that? And I genuinely think if he comes on loan, he'll want to stay permanently. He will want to stay permanently. And I hope that whatever club he's at, I don't know what it is, they agree a deal in the summer for £5 million.
Stephen Fairbairn says he lives just outside of Walsall and he's heard a lot of unhappy Wolves fans saying that VAR robbed them again and the best team lost. Good show, lads. So cheers, Stephen.
Cheers, Stephen.
Yeah, I think the Wolves fans are wrong on that one. I don't think the best team lost, but I can
lost.
No, exactly. But
the ref. I thought the ref had a good game. He definitely wasn't biased towards the home side. But he didn't. He was just did his job.
Yeah, it was an okay game. I thought it was okay. I think he could have handed out a couple of yellows earlier on, possibly. But nothing crazy. And on the balance of things, I thought he was reasonably fair. Alan Thompson with the positivity. He said, on the positive side, after 10 matches, we are 3 points better off than last year. We have won more games than last year, but also lost more games. Lost only one game at the same stage in the of last season. Yeah. So and you know what? Alan, loads of draws, as you say, Daz. And I think our run at the start of this season has been more difficult than the one at the start of last season. So hopefully that will balance out. I've got no doubt it will. Daz, Dom Milburn has picked up on the reason why we didn't win the match today. He said we didn't win because Shah didn't have a head injury.
Yes, Dom, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
that was the one thing. He would have got a 10 if he had a head injury, and we would have won the game.
So yeah, Munch, I'm going to bring this one up because obviously it wasn't the result we wanted, but probably a fair one on reflection, which I think's right. Big question is, do we throw the League Cup? We've already spoken about that, Munch. We don't want to throw the League Cup, but I do understand why some people are saying it. But us personally, we want to get that trophy. We want to win that trophy that we're all desperate for. Munch also says, would you have taken a point before the game after Tonali's ban and all of the injuries we have? And I'll be deadly honest, I would have took a point before this game kicked off. Daz, would you have?
No. No, I can never take a point. If we were playing like Arsenal or someone like that, I would have said or Man City would have said, I'll take the point, especially with everything going on. But no, not against Wolves. I thought we could win that. But I just one thing I'm grateful for as well though is that we didn't pick up any more injuries and Bruno didn't get that yellow card because we are so light now on backups and replacements.
Pete, would you have took a point?
Honestly, with Wolves being in the form that they are and all the rest of it, like I said, Daz said about injuries and all the rest of it, I would have took a point. Obviously at 2-1 up, you feel kind of hard done by that you don't get the 3 points, but again, you kind of look at it. It's a bit like West Ham. You're 2-1 up, you're thinking 3 points here, and then you don't, and then you're like, oh, should have got 3 points. But then when you think about it, it is one of those things. But like I said, with all the injuries and all the rest of it, it is one of those considerations. But they have said that Isak's injury is not as bad as first feared. And there's a chance he could well be back. I don't think he'll be back for Man U, but I'm holding hope that both Botman and Isak are back for Arsenal. I'm holding a little bit of hope with that personally, but we'll see.
Definitely. Two more, boys. One is two messages. I kind of want to read them both out just to kind of get your views on that, and then the last one I'll come to. So Trippier for Prime Minister says, that one's on Eddie for me. Why are we not making the subs when we were clearly knackered? What exactly was the point in buying Tino and Hall when we won't give them 15 minutes in a game like that? He then goes on to say, I don't know if it's a trust issue or favouritism, but really poor decision-making from him, meaning Howe. Anyone could see their second goal was coming from a mile away due to tiredness. Now, Howe, I know we very briefly touched on this, but do you see why Trippier for Prime Minister has got these frustrations? Do you understand that, Pete?
100%. I understand it because I was frustrated with it too. I was. I was thinking players need to come on and make a difference. Like for me, I'd have brought Willock on at least 5 or 10 minutes on earlier than he did. But then I'm thinking about it and I'm looking at the bigger picture. He wants to be competitive in all competitions. And he wants to keep players fresh. And he sacrificed certain players today playing 90 minutes to ensure that they could have a rest on the bench or not be played at all. I imagine it'll be on the bench because our squad's stretched, so we can start others. And there's someone else who put in the chat, people like Matt Ritchie might even play against Man United. Like he may well bring the changes. But I still think it'll be a team that'll be strong enough to beat Man United. Man United got holes all over the place. And I genuinely think that we will put out a team that will exploit that. So yeah, I'm frustrated like anybody else is, but I also see why Eddie Howe did what he did, and that's okay because he's the manager. I'm not.
Yeah, Daz, I'm gonna slightly spin off this one for you.
Right.
And I was thinking this before. Pete mentioned, about like there could be, different players coming in for the Man United game. Do you think we could see Lewis Hall playing in centre midfield against Man United like he did when he made? I think it was the game against. Who did he play centre midfield against?
He came on as a sub. Was it Man City? No.
Was it Man City? Yeah, I think it was. And the reason I asked that, Daz, is because we're talking about Weston Bruno. We're probably going to keep Joe Linton in the side to get his fitness up. But I'm thinking, well, Miley's injured. Tonali can't play. Anderson's injured. So do you think there's a possibility we could see Lewis Hall in that midfield? Or do you think he'll come on left back? Or do you think he'll keep Matty Target left back? Or do you think Van Baerle will play left back? What are your thoughts? Like, who do you think will be in?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he starts Hall there in there. I don't know. I think it'd be a shock. It'd be all eyes on that if he it does though, because that means he's ready. And I presume, like along with all the other Chelsea players, they're not ready. So it's taken him a while to get up to the Eddie Howe way of playing. It may take more time. So I'd love to see him in there because that would mean he's ready and go for it. Is Lewis Miley? I thought it was glandular fever. Is it? Yeah.
I think he said he was out for a couple of weeks. I think he said
a couple of weeks.
I think so. I could be wrong.
No, Elliot Anderson's out for 8 weeks or something, something like that. Yeah,
Glandular fever is not good at all because what it does, like the fever you might have for like 2 weeks, and Eddie Howe said he's already in the kind of rehabilitation stage, like he's already in the recovery stage, but it saps your energy, it drains you. Like one of my good friends I used to live next door to, when we were younger, he had glandular fever and it literally wiped him out for months. And he's not a professional athlete, so I imagine it would be considerably less for Miley, but it drains you. So like your fitness levels are like at zero. So I imagine, unfortunately, Lewis Miley would probably be starting out like he's at pre-season all over again, because that's kind of what it does to you. It just wipes you out. So yeah, I think he'll be involved within the squad, but I think it will take him a while to get properly back up to fitness. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts playing a few more games in the under-21s.
Jeez, the English lads, you want to toughen up a bit. That wouldn't, Jeff Henrik wouldn't have be complaining like that. I'll tell you something.
And then the last one I want to bring up from Bill Ashby, and this gives us all perspective. So Bill Ashby says the thing is, if Eddie Howe brings Tino and Lewis Hall on and we lose the game, that they'd be getting pelters. And in fairness, Bill, it's a fair point. It's a fair point.
Tino starts.
Eddie Howe, sorry,
Tino will start
against Man United.
Yeah,
I agree. But yeah, I think Bill's saying, like if Eddie had brought Tino on and he brought Lewis Hall on, and the ones that we probably would have brought on, and if we'd have lost, everyone would have gone, oh, why did he take Trippier off? And he should have, he should have maybe brought Target on.
It's easy in hindsight to say. It could have worked out what he did by bringing Willock on. He could have just, and like that Char chance was it could have been talking about. It could have been a different reaction show. It could have been a 3-2.
We've got to look at it from the point of that. If you bring someone like Lewis Hall on, and like I think he'll be a tremendous player for Newcastle. I genuinely do. But he's 18 or just turned 19. He's still young, And it's not just about bringing Lewis Hall on or Livramento on. It's who you're taking off. You're taking two of the biggest leaders in our team off the pitch in Trippier and Dan Burn. And that's what Eddie Howe was literally saying in his after-game press conference, is that he would have had to bring on Hall and Livramento in positions that they're not familiar with. So it would have been a right-wing option. So you're bringing off Anthony Gordon to bring on Livramento, because he would have had to play as a right winger. You're bringing off a midfielder or potentially a left winger in Gordon. No, sorry, not Gordon, Joe Linton or somebody else of that ilk off the pitch to bring Lewis on. And both are good players, but lack that experience, particularly in a game that's really on a tight edge. And there are some games in a tight edge where you don't want to change a team because any change might nip it the other way. And that's what he's done. And I get it. I completely get why Eddie Howe's done it. And he's saving them to play them starting fresh in the next match. I don't think Lewis Hall will start. I think he'll get minutes against Man United. I think Target may well start, but Trippier will definitely come out, in my opinion, for Livramento, 100%.
Yeah. And Jeff Carter, good friend of the channel, and Jeff, great to see you in the chat again. He makes a great point. Bring in Paul Dummy, save the day. Simple as.
Yeah, I think I'd be surprised if he starts, but I think he'll be involved at some point.
He had a fantastic game last time he played, to be fair, didn't he?
He did.
He did. Yeah. So great point as always from Jeff. And yeah, that's it for the questions, boys.
I think Jeff was trying to be a bit sarcastic though with that though. I bet you, Jeff. I bet you, Jeff. I know Jeff. No, he was. Well, you never know. He could come back to bite us. Like the last time, fair play to Paul Dummett last time. All right. That is it. So for the questions, give a quick shout out to the sponsors, and then we're going to be back as well during the week. We need to just confirm a few things as well, but we expect us back during the week with something else, maybe even on Wednesday. But shout out to, and you got to mention earlier on, it's Rusty's Rads, the radiatorshed.com, and all the beautiful rads that are very useful this time of year to keep you warm. And yeah, check out the latest on the radiatorshed.com, and Russ will sort you out. If you need them installed as well, the install works will sort that out too. Also, shout out to H2O Bathroom Design Co., the Northeast's largest supplier of Velcro and botch bathroomware. Team Valley Gateshead, over 20 years established, run by the family. Get down to the showroom on 11th Avenue, Team Valley Estate, Gateshead, and check out those bathrooms in the showroom and get the latest there from H2O Bathroom Design Co. That is it for the night. Where's Chris gone?
He dropped off for a second. But if you haven't clicked that like, and I'm just going to check right now how many likes there are.
What on earth is this?
You were gone, so I had to.
What have I come back to here?
Alternative.
I didn't even know. I was looking down at my phone. So I was about to say there was only 43 likes, and we've had 130, 140 in the live chat over the course of this show. Maybe even more. I can't even remember. But click the like. Come on, people. You know it makes sense. On the button as always. And if you're new to the channels, a few people I've not seen before were in the chat tonight. Click that subscribe button. Come and join the lovely family. Make sure you click those buttons on the way out, people. You know it makes sense. Come on.
And another thing, we're at it now. We're going to rant in. Go, if you haven't checked this show out already, check that out. Half an hour is well worth watching this one. It's a great little chat with Brian, the true Geordie there from Wednesday night, I think it was. So yeah, check that out, especially in the lead up to the fight as well. So yeah, we changed up the poster a bit to match what we were talking about. So yeah, 30 minutes. You're not going to regret watching that one back. That is it. If you are watching the fight tonight, enjoy it. Anyone that's watching it, and I suppose the one thing left to say. How'd you like that? Good night, everyone.
How you like
He's a great age.